The universe has always hidden monsters, but none like the one humanity discovered on that impossible day. A system that shouldn't exist, planets orbiting not a star, but a black hole. And yet, the data coming from the Vega probe was undeniable. This was real, terrifyingly real. And Dr. Helena Voss, the astrophysicist leading the mission, felt an instinctive shiver the moment she saw the first image. The black hole they named Hades pulsed softly, like a dark heart beating at the center of a silent cosmic cathedral. Surrounding it, 7 planets traced perfect orbits, as if bound by an invisible choreography. None of it made sense. A black hole devours, tears apart, shreds any structure that comes close. Yet there they were, intact, stable, and impossibly aligned. The discovery spread through the scientific community like wildfire. Some said it was an anomaly, others, a hoax. But Helena knew what she was looking at. The gravitational signature was authentic, the orbital patterns consistent. The only thing inconsistent was reality itself. The Vega team gathered in the observation room while the latest transmission loaded. Draven, the mission's lead engineer, rubbed his eyes in disbelief. "Planets orbiting a black hole," he muttered. "This breaks every rule." Helena responded with a cold whisper. "Maybe the rules aren't what we think." The image finally sharpened. The event horizon of Hades glowed faintly with accretion, but not violently, more like a controlled ring of fire. It behaved with stability never before observed. It almost seemed domesticated. That word alone made Helena step back. Domesticated? By whom? The probe moved closer, revealing the first planet, a dark frozen sphere reflecting the faint glow of the accretion disk. If there had once been life there, it was long gone. But something about the symmetrical ridges on its surface didn't look natural. They looked structured, designed. A silence filled the room as the Vega's AI magnified a section of the planet. Lines, patterns, a geometry too perfect to be geological. Draven swallowed hard. "Tell me that's just coincidence." Helena didn't answer. She couldn't. Deep inside, she knew the truth. Something had built those patterns. Another transmission came in, showing the second planet. This one was different, warmer, glowing faintly in the infrared, as if heated not by a star, but by tidal forces from the black hole itself. Again, the same kind of markings. Artificial, repetitive. "Someone lived here," Helena whispered. "Someone intelligent." That possibility alone would have been enough to collapse Earth's scientific foundations. But the Vega had only begun to reveal the nightmare. The third planet approached on the sensors, and unlike the others, it showed signs not only of structure, but of collapse. The buildings were in ruins. Entire cities, frozen in orbit around darkness, silently decaying. Helena felt her throat tighten. "Whatever happened to them," she said, "wasn't natural." And as the probe drifted closer to reveal what destroyed that civilization, the lights in the observation room flickered, almost as if something, somewhere, had noticed they were watching. The Vega feed stabilized again, revealing a wide expanse of cracked towers and collapsed structures. It was the third planet, now confirmed to have once been a cradle of life. But the devastation wasn't random. It was patterned concentric zones of destruction, like shockwaves radiating from a single epicenter. Helena felt her heartbeat quicken. "Pull up the central region," she ordered. The image zoomed in on a circular pit, perfectly aligned with the planet's equator. It wasn't natural erosion. It looked carved, or worse, extracted, as if something colossal had been ripped out of the ground and taken away. Draven looked at Helena with a mixture of awe and fear. What could do that? Terraforming tech? A weapon? Helena shook her head. "Something beyond anything we know. Look at the residue on the edges. That's matter stretched by gravitational shear." Draven's voice cracked. "Are you saying they were using gravity as a tool?" The room fell silent again. The idea was absurd, impossible, and yet everything about the system was impossible. Planets orbiting peacefully around a cosmic vacuum cleaner, artificial structures resisting tidal forces, a civilization capable of manipulating gravity. Helena swallowed her dread. This wasn't an accident. This system was engineered. Before anyone could respond, a new alert blinked on screen. Anomalous signal detected. The Vega had picked up something beneath the ruins, a repeating frequency, faint but deliberate. "That's a beacon," Helena said. "And it's still transmitting." The probe adjusted course, descending through fractured skyscrapers and shattered plateaus. The ground was littered with metallic fragments burned by extreme heat. Whatever wiped out this civilization didn't leave survivors, but it also didn't silence their last message. As the signal grew stronger, an image slowly resolved. A monolithic structure half buried in dust. Smooth, black, reflective, its shape entirely alien, neither built for habitation nor communication with beings like humans. Helena's eyes widened when she recognized the material. "That's Event Horizon-grade alloy," she whispered. Draven stammered, as in, built to withstand a black hole. Static crackled through the speakers as the beacon activated. A pattern of pulses emerged, long, short, long, repeated endlessly. "That's not a distress call," Draven said. "No," Helena agreed. "It's a warning." The probe circled the monolith, analyzing its engravings, spirals, fractal geometries, and symbols that seemed to shift as the camera passed by. Every shape pointed toward the center of the system, Hades, the black hole itself. They weren't afraid of it, Helena murmured. They worshipped it, or depended on it. Then the Vega detected something that made everyone lean closer. There were traces of energy around the monolith, the exact same frequency emitted by the black hole. Helena felt her stomach drop. "It's connected to Hades," she whispered. And for the first time, she realized the civilization might not have been destroyed by the black hole, but because of what they tried to do with it. The alert tone echoed through the observation deck again. "New radiation spike detected." Helena straightened immediately. Something near the black hole had begun to emit bursts of energy, short, rhythmic flashes impossible to mistake for natural turbulence. "That's a signal," she whispered. But who or what was sending it? The Vega adjusted its orientation, pointing all sensors at Hades. The black hole shuddered with pulses that traveled across space like ripples through still water. They weren't random. They formed sequences, numerical progressions, rooted in prime numbers. "Someone is counting," Draven muttered. Helena felt a cold knot tighten in her chest. No, someone is communicating. The pulses grew stronger, almost impatient, as if the black hole had noticed the probe's attention, as if it welcomed it. Helena took a step back from the screen. "It's responding to us," Draven frowned. "To us, or to the monolith?" The probe activated. No one had an answer. The Vega drifted closer to the center of the system, mapping gravitational fluctuations. Something extraordinary emerged. The orbits weren't simply stable, they were precisely timed, like gears in a cosmic machine. "This system is calibrated," Helena whispered. "Adjusted with absurd precision." Draven stared at her. "You're saying the planets were placed here on purpose?" Before Helena could reply, the probe's instruments captured a distortion, a shimmering halo of light, twisting near the event horizon. "That's not relativistic lensing," she said. "It's structured." The distortion looked like a circle overlapping another, a kind of gravitational mandala. Draven whispered, "It's a doorway." Helena shook her head. "No, but it might be a lock." The pulses from Hades suddenly changed tone, faster, urgent, almost frantic. The monolith's signal began to sync with the black hole itself, a perfect resonance, a handshake. Helena whispered, "They're talking to each other." Draven's jaw clenched, which means the probe woke something up. A new transmission arrived from the planet's surface, a fragmented image the probe had sent before. A chamber beneath the monolith. Inside, a structure shaped like a ribcage encircled a spherical device. It hummed with the same frequency as Hades. "That's a power core," Draven said slowly. "No," Helena corrected. "It's an interface." The chamber lit up the moment the probe entered. Symbols flickered across the sphere's surface, repeating the same numerical sequences emitted by the black hole. Draven whispered, "They built technology to communicate with the black hole." Helena felt her throat tighten. "Or to control it." A tremor ran through the Vega's signal feed. The probe's telemetry shook violently, and for a moment, everything went dark. When the feed returned, the sphere inside the chamber was glowing brighter, active for the first time in what could have been millions of years. "It's turning on," Helena said. Draven stepped back, then shut the probe down now, but it was too late. The interface sphere sent out one final pulse, stronger than all the others. A direct response came from Hades. The black hole flared not with light, but with a burst of gravitational force so intense it distorted the Vega's cameras. Helena stared, horrified, as the impossible became clear. Hades recognized the command. The shockwave from Hades didn't behave like a natural gravitational burst. It moved with direction intention, cutting across the system in a straight path that aligned perfectly with the third planet's monolith. Helena felt the hairs on her arms rise. It's responding specifically to the interface, she whispered. Draven swallowed. Or answering a call that's been silent for millennia. The Vega trembled as its instruments overloaded. Warnings flashed across every console: gravitational anomaly, sensor saturation, system error. We need to pull back, Draven shouted. We're too close, but Helena held her ground. No, we wait. For the first time, her voice cracked with something between awe and fear. This is the first contact with a cosmic-level intelligence. The black hole brightened not visually, but in the readings. Its mass fluctuated by infinitesimal fractions, impossible under known physics. It's modulating itself, Helena muttered. Draven looked at her like she'd lost her mind. Black holes don't modulate. This one does. A new pattern of pulses emerged, far more complex than before. They weren't prime numbers anymore, they were equations, multi-dimensional constructs that the VGAS computers struggled to interpret. Helena's voice grew faint. It's teaching us. Draven's eyes widened. Or interrogating us. The feed from the planet came back online. The interface sphere inside the subterranean chamber was spinning now, rotating around its axis with impossible precision. Lines of light spiraled across its surface, matching the equations emitted by Hades. They built this device to resonate with the black hole, Helena said. Draven shook his head. No, they built it to unlock something. A low rumble shuddered through the Vega's hull. Not mechanical, gravitational. The black hole's event horizon rippled like a disturbed pond, forming symmetric waves. Helena's eyes widened in disbelief. It's creating a pattern. A stable one, Draven exhaled sharply. Stable, Helena. That's a gateway signature. But the ripples didn't open a portal. Instead, they formed a massive, spherical latticean, invisible cage surrounding the event horizon. Helena felt cold all over. That looks like containment. Draven froze. You're telling me they caged a black hole? No, Helena said slowly. They caged something inside it. Suddenly, the monolith's beacon changed tone, emitting a frantic, rapid burst. The interface sphere responded immediately, releasing a shock of energy that surged through the planet's crust. The Vega's alarms blared. The planet's destabilizing. Draven shouted. Helena whispered. No, it's rebooting. The cavern around the sphere lit up as ancient machinery flickered back to life. Panels unfolded. Structures rose from the dust like awakening giants. Every component was aligned toward Hades. Draven backed away from the console. We need to cut the probe's link before it triggers something catastrophic. But Helena stared, transfixed. It already has. The black hole's lattice expanded, locking into a perfect geometric shell. For a moment, the entire system vibrated as if holding its breath. Then the signal came. A single pulse, unlike any before. Not a warning, not math. A word, a message. Access granted. The moment the message echoed through the Vega's interface, the black hole changed. Not violently worse than that. Elegantly, deliberately. Its event horizon flattened along one axis, forming a rotating disk with patterns of luminous streaks swirling across its surface. Helena felt her breath catch. It's reorganizing itself. Draven shook his head in disbelief. No, something inside it is reorganizing the black hole. The monolith's chamber on the planet vibrated, dust falling in shimmering cascades. The sphere rose into the air, floating in place. Its surface shifted to reveal a circular emblem, concentric rings interlocked like mechanical gears. Helena recognized it immediately. That's the same pattern forming on Hades. Draven's voice was a whisper. Then this is a control key. The room grew darker as the gravitational pull momentarily increased. Not enough to threaten the ship, but enough to make everyone's stomach drop. Whatever they sealed in there, Helena murmured. They didn't want it getting out, Draven added, and we just unlocked the door. The black hole's gravitational lattice shimmered, then cracked just slightly, a hairline fracture in the seemingly perfect containment shell. The sensors howled with alarms, registering a spike in gravimetric shear unlike anything ever observed. Helena stared wide-eyed. This is not a simple anomaly. This is behavioral. The Vega's onboard AI attempted to classify the phenomenon, but every model failed. Instead, it displayed a warning in plain language. Unknown entity emerging. Draven blinked. Emerging. Helena nodded slowly. The black hole is a vessel. The lattice fractured further, and for the first time actual light escaped from within Hades. Not the violent radiation of a dying star, but something structured, like beams passing through a prism. Colors no human eye should perceive bled into the feed, triggering sensor distortions. Helena whispered, "This is information, not energy." The monolith illuminated completely, mirroring the black hole's impossible display. Symbols cascaded across its surface, aligning into spirals. The interface sphere pulsed brightly in response. "They're sinking," Draven said. Helena's voice trembled. "This isn't a containment failure. It's a handshake protocol." Another pulse spread across the system, causing the planets to tremble in their orbits. This wasn't destruction, it was calibration, like a cosmic machine being powered on after eons of silence. Draven staggered back. "We've activated an entire system." Helena clenched her fists. "No, we've awakened it." Then, in the center of Hades, something moved. A distortion, a shadow unfurling from impossibly deep within the singularity. It stretched, expanded, and began to take form not fully visible, more like a conceptual outline rendered in gravitational echoes. Draven whispered, terrified. "There's something alive in there." Helena corrected him. "No, something conscious." The lattice around the black hole shattered completely, dissolving into spirals of light. The entity within pulsed just once and the Vega's systems instantly flooded with alien data streams, rewriting themselves faster than the crew could react. Helena stared at the screen, numb. "This wasn't a warning beacon," she said softly. "It was a lock." And now, the lock had been undone. The Vega's interior lights flickered as alien data cascaded across every display. Not random noise-structured information, rewriting protocols, hijacking systems without breaking them. Draven's voice cracked. "It's integrating with the ship." Helena shook her head slowly. "No, it's introducing itself." The entity inside Hades pulsed again, this time gently, like a greeting. The feed magnified its form, if it could even be called a form. It wasn't matter, it wasn't light. It was a distortion in space itself, folding and unfolding in rhythmic waves. Helena whispered, "It's using gravity as language." The Vega's AI abruptly projected a translation overlay. The alien pulses were being converted into visual symbols, fractals, spirals, and geometric phrases that echoed the monolith's engravings. Draven stepped closer, pale. "It's the same script from the ruins." Helena nodded. The civilization communicated with it regularly. A chilling realization settled over them. The extinct species had not worshipped the entity. They had collaborated with it, learned from it, built impossible technologies with its guidance. Draven muttered, "Then why are they all dead?" Helena didn't answer, but she feared she already knew. The entity emitted a new pulse, sharper, more direct. The Vega's translation system struggled, but managed to assemble a rudimentary meaning. Query, status of key. Draven blinked. "It's asking about the interface sphere." Helena murmured, "It's asking if we used it correctly." Before she could finish, the monolith answered. A beam of structured radiation shot from the planet straight toward Hades. The beam passed through the entity, causing it to ripple with irritation or pain. Not hostility, but recognition. Helena exhaled shakily. The monolith isn't just a transmitter. It's part of the lock mechanism. The entity's pulses intensified. The Vega translated again. Primary users absent. Secondary users identified. Helena felt her stomach twist. "It means us," Draven whispered. "It thinks we're the successors of that dead civilization." Another wave of gravitational energy spread through the system. The planets resonated like tuning forks, aligning in perfect synchronicity. It was majestic and terrifying. Helena gripped her chair. "This isn't communication," Draven frowned. "Then what is it?" "It's initial." On the planet, the interface sphere accelerated in its rotation, glowing white-hot without melting. Machinery long dead hummed back to life. Structures reconfigured, unlocking deeper mechanisms buried beneath the crust. Draven staggered. "This isn't a beacon." "No," Helena whispered. "It's a command console." Then the translation feed lit up one final time with a message that froze both of them in place. "Prepare for release." Helena felt the words like ice in her spine. Release of what? The answer came not from the Vega, but from the entity itself, its shadow expanding, reaching outward. Whatever was imprisoned inside Hades was awakening. No one breathed for several seconds. The idea of restoring the sun at the cost of another system felt absurd, almost too cruel to fit inside a human mind. But the entity showed no judgment, only the cold impartiality of cosmic laws far beyond any known ethics. "You're talking about condemning another civilization," Helena murmured, her voice nearly cracking. "That's genocide on a stellar scale." "Not necessarily," the entity replied, with a calmness that bordered on discomfort. "Some anchors are installed in uninhabited systems, but the decision is never simple. The transfer requires physical and temporal compatibility. Perfect options are rare." Aidan closed his eyes, trying to process it. "And if we refuse, if we decide to live without the sun? We survived 52 years like this. Maybe we could keep going." "No," the entity said. "Your current state is unsustainable. Your planet will lose its atmospheric structure entirely in less than a century. Technological adaptation cannot keep pace with ecological decay." Rhea looked around at the crew, searching their eyes for any fragment of hope. "So, that's it. We either sacrifice an unknown system or let Earth die slowly." "There is still a third possibility," the entity interrupted, making everyone turn instantly toward it. "One that requires not only sacrifice, but transformation." A purple sheen spread through the surrounding space, as if the environment reacted to the concept before it was even explained. Aidan felt a cold shiver crawl up his spine. "What kind of transformation?" "You," the entity said. "Humanity itself could become the anchor. You could serve as the new gravitational stabilizing point. A fusion between biological matter and the dimensional mechanism. A forced evolution, but a definitive one." The silence that followed was deeper than before. They were no longer facing a choice between planets. They were staring at the decision to change the destiny of their entire species, or accept the slow death of their home. Rhea felt the weight of 1,000 years settling on her shoulders. Choosing for herself was one thing, but choosing for the entire species, choosing who humanity would become, or whether it would even remain human, that was a burden carved out of pure cosmic gravity. Aidan paced silently, hands trembling. "If we become the anchor, we'd stop being what we are. We'd become part of a machine holding space itself together. That's not evolution, that's erasure." Helena shook her head, tears gathering but refusing to fall. "But sacrificing another system, another world. We don't even know who or what lives there. We could be damning innocents just like us." "I will not influence your decision," the entity said. "The path forward must be chosen by those whose fates are bound to its outcome. But understand this, the window of choice is closing." The space around them shimmered, revealing 3 distinct futures like echoes made solid. In one, Earth withered into a frozen husk, its oceans locked in time. In another, a distant star dimmed as a new anchor was forced into existence, its planets blinking out one by one. And in the last, humanity stood transformed, luminous and unrecognizable, intertwined with a lattice of cosmic energy. Rhea stepped closer to the visions, her breath trembling. "All of these futures, they feel wrong. Each one costs something irreparable." "All futures cost something," the entity replied. "But some costs can be shared. Some can be chosen together." Slowly, Rhea turned back to her crew. "Then let this decision be ours, not as a duty, not as a sacrifice forced upon us, but as an act of legacy. If humanity must change to save the universe from taking other lives, then let we be the ones to reshape ourselves." Aidan and Helena exchanged a look, a long, wordless conversation passing between them. Then, together, they nodded, not out of courage, not out of certainty, but out of a quiet understanding. If something had to be lost, let it be a part of them, not someone else's world. The entity's light intensified as it embraced their decision. "Then humanity shall become more than it was, and more than it feared to be. Your species will anchor realms, mend fractures, and stand where stars once stood. This is not an ending, it is your ascension." And as the ship dissolved into radiant strands merging with the cosmic lattice, Earth's sky flickered, not with the return of the sun, but with something new, something born from them, a future not inherited, but chosen.